Hey guys, it is August the 24th, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. I hope everybody's been having a wonderful sober weekend as well. It's been a pretty hot day here in South Carolina, but I was watching, there's another YouTuber that I watch pretty frequently who does basically like a weather channel. His name is Ryan, y'all, I think is the guy's name. If you haven't ever seen him, check him out. He does a really good job explaining what's going on with the weather, and he said that we've got like a cold front headed our way, so really looking forward to that. Looks like the temperatures are going to be rather nice coming up in like the next week or so, so I'm really excited about getting that weather. I love waking up in the morning and going outside and sitting on my porch when it's, you know, really cool, like 55, 60 degrees early in the morning. You've got that really hot cup of coffee and the steam's rolling off the top of it and everything's got dew all over it, and the sun's just starting to come up over the horizon. The birds are chirping, it's just a brand new day. I don't know, there is just something about that. A crisp, cool morning. It's just so refreshing, and it's like, I don't know, I get so amped up when it's, those nice cool mornings like that, because I just feel like I got the whole day ahead of me. It's not going to be super hot. I'm not going to be sweating all over the place like crazy. I just get really excited about it. Not to mention, too, fall's coming up, and fall and winter are like, my favorite times of year. I really enjoy the fall, more than anything else. I love Halloween. Just the kids dressing up in their costumes, pumpkins. I just love everything about it. I like, just the decorations that everybody puts out, the different types of like dried corns, and, I don't know, I just love that time of year when the leaves start to change and they're all starting to fall, and you get those, nice, cool fall breezes, and it blows the leaves out of the trees. It's such a nice time of year, and you get to, make a fire on the weekend and cook some marshmallows, make s'mores, and, the fire actually feels really good when you're sitting around it. That is like my favorite time of year, and I love camping in the fall as well. It's just so nice. It's nice and chilly outside, and you get inside that nice warm sleeping bag. You just sleep like a baby. It's so nice. But anyway, I'm getting carried on, getting excited about the fall coming up. What I wanted to talk about today is I was replying to the comments last night from Friday's video, and while I was replying to those comments, I ran across one where one of the subscribers was saying that I'm not gonna say the person's name, and I actually left him a comment back and said, that I'm gonna be making a video just for you tomorrow. So for who you are, you know who you are. I hope you read my reply. If not, this video could be for anybody. But like I said, I told this other person that, I was going to do a video for them today, because like I said, basically they were telling me in the comment that they felt like they let everybody in the community down. That they had gotten sober and had 4 months of sobriety, and they relapsed, and they said that they felt like they didn't know if they were ever going to be able to quit now. They didn't know if they were ever going to be able to stop again and stay quit. And I just feel like they were really frustrated because they slipped. And like I said, I wanted to make a video about that today. I wanted to make a video and try to give some encouragement, to this person and to whoever else out there might be struggling today, whoever else might be out there who had any length of sobriety, whether it be 4 months, 4 years, 14 years sobriety, and you have, unfortunately slipped here recently, and had a drink, or, whatever it may be, or you're really thinking about having a drink here lately. Today's video is for any of you guys, and it's for anybody. But like I said, I really wanted to make this video for the subscriber. and try to give this person some motivation. So that's what today's video is going to be about. One of the first things I wanted to talk about, especially using this person's story, is, one of the things I think happens to a lot of us in sobriety, especially in the beginning, is, we'll get whatever length of sobriety. Let's say it's 30 days of sobriety. And 30 days of sobriety, especially for somebody who's never gotten sober before, never really attempted to get sober, you never gotten past that maybe 2, 3, 4 days of sobriety or a week of sobriety or something. When you get to that 30-day mark or 28-day mark, whatever it is, that is a humongous deal. Especially if you've been trying over and over throughout the years and you just cannot seem to make it stick. And, when you finally get to that point where, week 1, you've got that one down, and it's week 2, week 3, and then you get to that week 4 and you are so excited about it. And then, you get through week 4 and let's say you've got a month of sobriety now. And here comes you've got 30 days sobriety. It's a Thursday night, and, you wake up Friday morning, you're like, I just accomplished my whole month. And, you go over to your buddy's house or something, or somebody comes by your place or whatever it is. Somebody offers you a drink, and you tell yourself in that moment, because we have these split-second decisions that we have to make all the time. And, it's one of those split-second decisions where you're like, should I or should I not? And then you start doing this thing in your head where you're telling yourself, I think I can manage having just a couple of beers tonight. I mean, I've already made 30 days. I've never gotten that far before. And if I've been able to make it to 30 days, if I can go a whole month without drinking, well, I can just have a beer or 2 beers or, just drink as much as I want tonight. And tomorrow, when I wake up, I'm going to feel maybe a little bit bad, but I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and just stay sober after that and not drink again until, let's say, a month from now, whatever it is. I'm going to prove to myself that I've got control of it this time. And then what ends up happening is we have that drink that night, and the next morning we wake up and we feel like crap. And then, either you wake up and have a drink that morning or you drink later on that day because, as the day drags on, you're trying to drink water, you're drinking Gatorade, you're drinking Red Bulls, you've had a big breakfast, you've popped a couple ibuprofen, you've taken some Tums, and nothing's seeming to work. And the only thing that works most of the time for that is to have a cocktail or 2. And it just takes that edge right off. And the next thing you know, here it is, 2 days in a row you've drank now. And, once we've done it, I know for myself, it's one of those things to where, once I broke the ice and I've already drank, well, it's like, well, who cares at this point? Now I've already drank, so I'm going to keep drinking tonight. I'm not going to stop now. And then that keeps happening every single day. Every day we tell ourselves, I'm not going to drink tomorrow. I'm just going to drink today. And then tomorrow comes, and then rinse and repeat, and that keeps happening day after day, day in and day out. And before you know it, it's been a year, 2 years, however long, and the time has just flown by, and we don't realize, that all this time has gone by because we keep telling ourselves that I'm gonna quit tomorrow. And then on top of it, another thing that happens to us too, one of the really frustrating things about this is, like I said, we get that whole month, we get that first month of sobriety in, and it's a huge deal to us. I mean, if you've never gotten 30 days or a month of sobriety and then you get there, I mean, you have it's like, same thing as running across the country or something. I mean, it's a big deal. And, you're patting yourself on the back, you're high-fiving people, you're so proud of yourself, you never thought this would ever be possible, and you made the impossible become possible. And like I said, you're so proud of yourself for being able to do this. And then something happens. You have a bad day at work. You get in a fight with your spouse. You get in a fight with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You get fired from your job. You get in a car accident. Some big catastrophic event happens. We lose a family member. One of our kids gets in trouble at school. Whatever it may be. We have a really bad, whatever it is, happen to us. We get put in a bad situation, and, we slip. We have a drink, or we drink for one night, and, we get wasted drunk. And then we wake up the next morning, and we can't believe that we did that. You wake up the next morning, you feel horrible, your head's splitting, you feel like you're about to throw up, your stomach hurts, you've got diarrhea. And then on top of it, you've got all this shame and guilt because, you thought you were stronger than that. And you broke, you drank, you did the same thing that you always do. And then we start doing this thing where we start beating ourselves up. We start telling ourselves, I knew that you weren't any better than that. I knew you were weak. I knew you weren't ever going to be able to stay sober. I don't know for everybody, but these are the kind of things that, my inner dialogue is telling myself. And we keep beating ourselves up, because we feel so bad that we did this. And then we do this thing where we go, well, it doesn't matter that I just had 30 days of sobriety or whatever. That just got thrown out the window because I relapsed last night. And we don't think about the fact that we just had 30 days of sobriety. I hear this so often of, people that, got a year or whatever, they've got a pretty long stint of sobriety under their belt and they relapse and they feel like they just threw it all away. They feel like all that hard work was for nothing. I just, threw away 6 months of sobriety or 2 years of sobriety or whatever it is. And the point is that you didn't throw it away. It's still there. Those 30 days of sobriety are still there. That's 30 days of sobriety that you did not cause damage to your liver, your pancreas, your stomach, your esophagus, your brain, your heart. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. That's 30 days of not arguing with your spouse or arguing with your family members or arguing with your coworkers or arguing with people at the bar or whatever it is. That's 30 days of, money that you did not spend on alcohol. That's 30 days of, you getting up in the morning and going to work and coming straight home from work and doing that day in and day out. That's 30 days of you, wanting to have a drink on the weekends, but you stayed strong and you didn't do it. That's 30 days of, you doing something constructive with your time rather than just sitting around on your back porch, pouring liquor down your throat all night long and smoking cigarettes and, using substances or whatever it may be. That, that length of time is still there. You still did the impossible. Getting sober is not easy. And, if you have done so, I'm so proud of you. And don't feel like you just threw it all away because you didn't. However much sobriety that you have, that was huge and it was important. And just because you relapse one time does not mean that all that just gets thrown away. It truly does not. And the thing is, I know how hard it is to get sober. I know how hard it is to stay sober. I do. Trust me. I quit, relapsed, started back up again, over and over and over again. I just could not get and stay sober. So don't feel like you're a failure. Please don't, because you're not. The thing is that we are all here for each other in this community. Any of you guys, for any of you all that are struggling, if you go into the comments section and you leave a comment, somebody's going to reply to you. And, somebody's going to be there to support you in any of the videos. At some point coming up here soon, too, I plan on getting something together for you guys to be able to communicate outside of YouTube. I've really been thinking about doing something, something on the outside of YouTube. I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to do yet. But there is something in the process. I thought about maybe doing like a membership and making it like dirt cheap to join, like $1 a month or something like that and be a member. And the only reason I say that is that, by charging just a little bit of money, it's going to keep a lot of those trolls out of that section. I just don't see a lot of people paying to be a troll and to come in and start trolling people in there, because it's been one of those things that's just really worried me about starting something like that, because I just don't want people going in there and pouring their heart out in there and then people going in there and attacking them and stuff like that. That can be really hard, especially when you go on there and, spill your guts out for everybody to read. And then, just anybody can access that page and go on there and say whatever they want to say. So I just need a little bit more time to think about it and try to figure out how I want to go about doing this. But I just want you guys to know that it is going to happen at some point. excuse me, I just haven't quite figured out exactly what I want to do yet. Back to what I was talking about again. The thing is that, like I said, if you have relapsed, you didn't throw all that out the window. I believe in each and every single one of you here on this channel. I never thought that I would ever be able to get sober. I just didn't. I did not think it was ever going to be possible. I had tried to get sober so many times and relapsed. It never seemed like it would ever happen. And it took me almost losing my life in order to finally wake up and go, I got to stop doing this. And that's what it took for me to finally quit, was almost losing my life. I mean, they literally had to slap me across the face and wake me up for me to go, what am I doing here? I need to stop. And it took that for me to quit. And the thing is that I never thought it would be possible. But when that happened, it finally happened. And I finally realized that I could get sober, that it was possible. And the point is that if I can get sober, anybody can get sober. It really is possible. And I'm not sitting here blowing smoke and telling you a bunch of gimmicks and things like that. And I've never been on here, trying to sell snake oil or, buy my book and I'm going to teach you how to get sober or anything like this, because it's all different for each of us. The path to sobriety is a different path for each and every single individual. None of us are the same. Now, we might be very similar in our paths, but there are going to be different footprints for each of us. We've all, walked off the path a little bit, veered off a different direction, done things differently. And, whatever it takes for you to get from point A to point B, from being in active addiction to sobriety, whatever you have to do in between to get there, like I said, it's all different for each and every single one of us. There is no one size fits all path to sobriety. It just does not work that way. What might work for one person could not work for another. Some person out there, and I've heard this before, they went and picked up a book. I can't remember the guy's name, but he wrote a book about how to quit smoking many years ago. And then the guy wrote a book about how to quit drinking. And I remember getting that book. And at the very beginning of the book, it said, don't stop drinking until you finish reading this book. And you can drink the whole entire time you read this book. And by the time that you finish reading this, I will guarantee you that you will be sober. Well, he couldn't have said anything better for me. What? I can read this and drink, and it's a book about how to quit drinking. So I can read this and drink, and you're giving me permission to drink while I read it. I'm all in. And I read that book, and let me tell you something. I got wasted drunk when I read that book. Often what would happen is I would get the book out. I'd make myself a drink. I'd go sit on my back porch, smoke a cigarette. On my days off, I'd be out there smoking and drinking on the back porch. And then I'd get to the point, as I'm reading this, that I got wasted drunk. And I couldn't even keep my eyes open anymore. So I'd have to go inside and pass out. And that's all the reading that I could get done for that day. Point of this is that it took me forever to get that book finished. And by the time that I got done reading it, had I quit drinking? Absolutely not. I was still drinking. For some reason, I thought that he was going to tell me some magic spell or, the code to sobriety, whatever it is. I was going to read it and there was going to be a secret in there. And after I read and learned the secret, all of a sudden my brain was going to change and I wasn't going to want to drink anymore. But that's not what happened. And like I said, I'm not here trying to tell anyone that, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to get sober, Once again, buy my book and all of a sudden it's going to fix everything. I'm not doing that. Like I said, what I'm saying is that we all have to get to sobriety differently. But you're not a failure if you got 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months sobriety and you relapse. Alcohol is such a powerful substance, number one. It is. I think that alcohol is one of the most powerful drugs. The intense euphoria that alcohol produces, especially in people like me, it's insane. I've never experienced anything like it ever. And I mean ever. And that includes in like reality too. Without a substance, I have never felt that level of euphoria that I used to feel when I would drink. So, you've got this feeling of euphoria that can just be so overwhelming. I mean, you just want to feel that way all the time. And, once again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, who doesn't want to feel good? We all want to feel good. We're creatures of comfort. We're always seeking out comfort, whether that comfort be physical or mental. We're always looking for comfort, whether it be a nice couch with some really nice soft cushions, or either, a relationship with someone who makes us feel good. But we're always seeking comfort. And, you can't be upset with yourself because there's this super powerful substance that makes you feel amazing when you drink it. Now, it doesn't make you feel amazing the next day, and it doesn't make you feel amazing 3 hours after you've drank. You start to feel like, trash after that. But, once again, you have the substance that makes you feel so wonderful. You can't be mad at yourself for wanting to feel like that again. Of course, your brain's going to be telling you, well, I want to feel that way again, especially if you're stressed out, your anxiety levels are through the roof, you're sad, you're depressed. And that's another thing, too, is that, I would have to say probably 99% of us that are in active addiction or, sober now, were in active addiction. Any of us that have dealt with any addiction problems, like I said, 99% of us, I'm sure, have dealt with some sort of depression in our lives. And I'm sure that probably 90% of us have major anxiety problems as well. And we drink in order to alleviate our anxiety, not realizing that the alcohol is creating a rebound effect the next day or later on that day where we're getting anxiety times 10 versus what we would have had if we had stayed sober. Just alcohol, we think that it's doing this great job of relieving our anxiety. But like I said, it's causing this rebound effect, and especially the next day with the anxiety. And we get anxiety times 10 on top of what we would normally have. So, once again, it's another thing where, no wonder we want to go back and drink again. Because in our mind's thinking that, when we get stressed out, it automatically wants to have a drink. It's like when your body is dehydrated, what does your body want? Your body wants water. You want to hydrate yourself. So when we get stressed out, the first thing that your mind does is go, alcohol. We need alcohol because when we drink, it lowers our stress levels down. It makes us feel better. So must get alcohol. But once again, it's causing that anxiety rebound effect the next day and causing us more and more anxiety. And like I said, too, most of us deal with some sort of depression. So we start to feel depressed. And what does our mind tell us? We need to have a drink or we need to use in order to bring ourselves up out of this depressed feeling that we're dealing with right now. So, our mind is automatically telling us, just like it's automatically telling us when we're hungry that we need to eat, or when we're thirsty and we need to drink, or when we, our bladder's full and we need to use the restroom, or, another, way that we have to go to the bathroom. Your body tells you need to go. So that's our mind is doing the same thing with the booze, especially if you've been drinking for long periods of time. If you've been drinking for the last 30, 40, 50 years or something like that and been doing it day in and day out, I mean, that's a really hard pattern to get out of, especially, like I said, if you've been doing it every single day. But, like I said, relapse is just part of the journey. It really is. I've spoken about it so many times on here, but I quit and relapsed over 100 times easily. And every single time it happened, I would tell myself the same thing. What's the point? I'm never going to be able to get sober. I've tried so many times. I give up at this point. I guess I'm just going to be a drunk for the rest of my life, and that's just the way it is. I'm never going to lose this weight. I'm going to be overweight for the rest of my life. I mean, I weighed 250 pounds before I got sick. At the end of my active addiction, I was 250 pounds wearing a size 40 to 42 waist, XL to double XL shirts and jackets. I was so overweight. I was so big, and I'm not a super tall guy. I'm somewhere around 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in that area right there. And, for 250 pounds at that height, I was really, really big. My blood pressure was always through the roof. My face was always red. I always felt fatigued. I just felt bad all the time. I could just feel the pressure. My blood pressure was so high. Like I was saying in yesterday's video, I could feel the pressure behind my eyeballs when it would start getting high. I could hear my heart beating in my ears, just in my ears. It was so bad. And I just let it keep going and going and going because, like I said, I did the same thing. I basically told myself that I'm a failure. I give up. There's no point in trying again. And I never wanted to go back and give it a serious try until I got sick. And please, for any of you guys watching this right now, I know it can be difficult. I know there are days where you feel like, I'm sorry guys, there are gnats just all over me right now. But, I know there can be days where you feel like everything's caving in on you. The whole world's about to end. Everything's falling apart. Everybody's angry at you. Not to mention you're depressed and you haven't been able to pull yourself out of depression for the past month. And you just feel like the whole entire world is against you right now, and things aren't going well at your job right now, and you can't stand your boss, and they're demeaning all the time, and they try to make you feel like the size of an ant, and they're always flexing their power around you. And you come home after dealing with a mean boss at work all day long, and as soon as you walk in the door, your spouse is all over your case about something, and because you didn't get the dishes done this morning before you left to go to work, or you didn't clean up the garage like you promised yesterday, or you didn't do the laundry like you said, and your husband's trying to leave to go to work and they don't have their favorite underwear and their favorite socks, and it's all your fault that they don't have them. And they leave, they storm out the door in the morning, and there you are left all alone, all upset because your spouse is angry at you because you didn't have the proper laundry done for them, and you're trying to call them all day long and they won't answer your phone calls and they won't reply to your text, and you feel like you're just worthless. And the only thing that you turn to, you open up that refrigerator and there it is, right there in the center. It's got lights coming off of it. It's that bottle of wine there to fix all of your problems. And you're telling yourself, no, I've got 60 days of sobriety. I cannot touch that stuff right now. But on the other side of your shoulder, that little guy's going, oh, it's okay. Go ahead and have a drink. We're only going to drink for today. Only today. We'll get sober tomorrow. Go ahead and have a drink. It's okay. You've had a bad day today. Your husband was yelling at you this morning. He's angry because you didn't have his underwear clean for him and his favorite socks, and he blamed it all on you and said that you ruined his day for him. And even though you're dealing with depression yourself, and you've got problems with your family, and you guys haven't been able to pay your mortgage payment in the last 3 months because you're behind on bills, but your spouse is going out and blowing all their money and gambling, or maybe they're spending their money on something else. They're into some hobby, and they're maybe it's who knows what, maybe it's fishing or something, and you guys haven't been able to pay your mortgage payment in the last 3 months, but they just bought a $1,500 fishing rod, and you don't understand what's going on here, and you feel like just, like I said, the whole entire world's crumbling from underneath of you. And the only thing you could think of to turn to is that bottle that's in the refrigerator with the light shining off of it. And every time you open the refrigerator door, you hear a bunch of people in a choir singing. I'm being funny, but I am kind of being serious right now. It's almost like that when you open up that refrigerator and there it is, or that bottle of liquor that's sitting there on the counter that you haven't touched in the past 60 days because you've been sober, but you needed to save it just in case of an emergency. That's your break glass in case of emergency bottle that you had to have. You're just keeping that around because you're going to prove to yourself that you don't need it. That has got to be one of the stupidest things that we do, because I used to do it myself. I would get rid of all of my alcohol except for a pint. I had to keep the pint, just in case of an emergency, just in case something happens where I really, really need it. There's never an emergency where you need alcohol. The only type of emergency where you might need alcohol is isopropyl alcohol, because you might need to clean a wound. And you don't need tequila to do that. You can use isopropyl alcohol to clean a wound. You don't have to use vodka. You don't have to use tequila. So just get rid of it. Get it out of your house. And that's one of those things. Get rid of all the alcohol or all of the substance. If it's a substance that you're dealing with, get rid of your contacts, delete them out of your phone, block their numbers so that they can't call you. Go through your call log, block all those people, and then delete their numbers out of your phone. So number one, you can't go back and find their number, and now their number's blocked as well. There's no way for them to call you. There's no way for you to call them. You've gotten rid of your contacts. Don't go to those places anymore. Don't drive by that old neighborhood where your dealer used to be. Don't go to the bar that you used to hang out at. Don't drive by the bar that you used to hang out at. Don't drive by the store that you used to stop at and get your alcohol every single day. Find a new way home. And last but not least, find something to do to occupy your time so that you're not sitting around doing this all day long, wondering when you're going to be able to have a drink and if you should or you shouldn't. When we have too much time on our hands, we really start to play that game in our head. Should I not? Should I not? I don't know. It's just... Like I said, finding something to do is so important. One of the things, this is something I've been doing today. I've been doing it actually all weekend long. But I'm really into knives and stuff like that. It's just a hobby of mine. I like to whittle and carve wood and stuff like that. I just really like woodworking and stuff. But one of the things I did is this right here is this is a $15 knife right here. And I've been really getting into sharpening blades and stuff like that here recently. Over the past few months, I've been watching so many videos. I already knew how to sharpen a good bit, but I really wanted to hone my skills, literally hone my skills. But I wanted to learn how to hone my skills a little bit better and just be better at sharpening my knives. I've always been in the kitchen. I've always worked with chef knives, so I wanted to be, really good at sharpening those. Not only that, but I carry a pocket knife with me everywhere I go. I carry a fixed blade with me because I just prefer them. They're stronger. A lot of the stuff that I do out here, I need a fixed blade just for that. There's a lot of times where, I've got to fix something on my tractor on the fly, and I've got to pry something, and I need something that's strong enough in order for me to do that. But my point to all this is that this is a $15 knife that I got off of Amazon. And what I did with it is that this whole part right here, this bevel right here, this right here was it was sanded, so it had lines that went all down where they had shaved this part of the blade and this contour right here, and then right down here at the bottom was a V edge. And what I did is I sanded this thing down and got rid of the V edge on it. I know it's going to be kind of hard for you to see, but there's no V edge on here anymore. And what I've done is I actually sanded this down to a pure convex edge. So it drops down from this point right here into a convex. So all the way from the tip of the blade all the way down to the bottom is a convex now. It wasn't like that originally. It came from the factory with, like I said, with a V edge on it. And then after I sanded all of this down, this part right here was already shiny. But after I did all the work onto the blade, what I've been doing is I used a whole bunch of different grit, and then I put them on some whetstones. And then what I did is I took my leather strop, and I've been stropping this blade for the past 2 days. I'm not kidding you. And this, I might be watching TV or having a conversation with someone or whatever, and I've been stropping this. And what that does is it creates this mirror polish on here, and it also creates a razor sharp edge right there on that edge. But it's just something to keep me busy. And basically, I don't have my leather strop out here, but this is, you're just kind of just running the knife across the leather and just doing that over and over and over again. You put a little bit of compound on there and you just keep doing it. And that's it's just something I've been doing this past weekend. I started it on Friday and I've been working on it ever since. Today is my son's birthday, my oldest son. He turned 15 years old today. So this whole weekend has been like birthday weekend for my oldest son. We did some stuff for him on Friday. Yesterday we did some stuff with him. We watched a movie last night together. We rented that new Jurassic Park movie and we all watched that. Golly, it was $20 to rent that on Amazon. Ridiculous. But anyway, we just been spending time together as a family doing things. And today we went over to my in-laws' house and opened up presents over there and all that good stuff. And then after we got done doing that, we all left and went to one of our local barbecue restaurants and had a birthday lunch for my son today. And while we were over there at my in-laws' house today, just hanging out, I was just sitting on their couch with that leather strop, just dropping this thing. It was keeping my hands busy, keeping my mind busy. And it's not like, something I had to super hyper focus on, but it gave me something to focus my attention on all weekend. And like I said, it's not like I couldn't do other things while I was doing it. I was watching television. The other night we were playing Monopoly, and in between rounds I was sitting here just dropping this thing. But just finding something to get into. Like I said, this is a $15 knife that I got off of Amazon. And I got it because I wanted to try to turn the blade into a different type of blade. I wanted to put a different edge on it. And I managed to do so. I didn't even know if it was even going to be possible. I had seen where somebody else had done this on YouTube before with this exact one. And did I know if I was going to be able to be successful in it? I had no idea. As a matter of fact, I thought that I was probably going to end up screwing it up. But I managed to do it. I watched a bunch of videos on it, practiced with some cheaper knives that I had laying around the house, some old junk knives. I practiced on those. And I've been practicing for the past couple of months, as a matter of fact, just trying to hone my skills. And, I'm at the point now where I'm actually able to do some pretty decent work with these things. And it's just so satisfying. I love doing it. It's something that's really cool. And, like I said, I paid $15 for this. The strop for me to polish it was like $8. I've had it forever. So what I have invested in this right now, including my stones that I've had forever too, maybe $50 total. But once I have the stones and the strop, I could do it with anything. I could go take a blank piece of steel, file it down, cut it out, do all kinds of stuff and make an actual knife out of it. It's been something that I've been working towards because it's something I've always wanted to learn how to do, is learn how to be a knife maker. Do I plan on being a professional one? No, but I want to be a hobbyist and I want to be able to do it here at my home. And like I said, it's something I've been working towards, trying to learn every single day. Every single day, I learn a little bit more. I learn something else, just taking time to practice. And like I said, all I was sitting there doing was taking this thing and running it over a leather strap. But each and every single one of those passes, every single time I did it, I got just a little bit better at it. I honed my skills. I figured out a way to hold the blade at the correct angle, and it gets better results. I figured out that if I do it faster or slower, or apply more pressure, or whatever it is, but practice makes perfect. And it's just like that with our sobriety. Just like learning how to put a mirror polish on this, it's just like our sobriety. I didn't learn how to do it overnight. It took time. Like I said, I've been working on this for months now, trying to learn how to sharpen my blades. It's taken a lot of time. It takes time with sobriety. Practice makes perfect. You're not going to get it the first go round. If you do, that's awesome. And I'm super happy for you. If you got sober, stayed sober, and you've never looked back, I'm so happy for you. But for most of us, that's not the way it works. For most of us, it takes us getting up, falling back down, getting up, falling back down. That happens 20 plus times until we finally get a long stint of sobriety, and then we might fall back down again, and we start feeling defeated after a period of time. You feel like this is just never going to work out. I'm just going to give up. But the point is, like I said, is that practice makes perfect. You just got to keep pushing forward and trying. Just keep picking yourself back up and try again. You're not a failure until you stop trying. If you got sober and relapsed after 2 years of sobriety, you never had one screw up over that whole 2 years, and you just relapsed recently, don't beat yourself up. It happens. It's just one of those things. Just pick yourself back up. Don't beat yourself up too bad, and just keep going. Just do it again. If you were able to do it and stay sober for 2 years, 1 week of a relapse, you can get back on the wagon relatively easy. You're going to go through some withdrawals. Yeah, they're not going to be as bad as they were the first time, but you can pick yourself back up and do it again and keep trying. Like I said, you are not a failure until you stop trying. If you keep picking yourself up every time you relapse, fall back down, and you do it again, and you try again, and you make it any amount of time, that's the spirit, and that's what it takes. Like I said, practice makes perfect. It took me years and years and years of relapsing, falling back down, telling myself this is never going to be possible, and then, I would try again, and never worked out. But here I am now with over 3 years of sobriety. I never thought this would ever be possible. I truly did not think it would be possible. And trust me, I gave up plenty of times as well. I did. I'm sitting here saying, don't give up. I gave up. I really did give up. And went right back to drinking hardcore. And I drank myself almost to that point. And then I ended up in the hospital, and then I was at a crossroads. I had a decision to make. It was either go left or go right. Right is keep on drinking and carrying on the way that I was living and live for about a month, or change my life. I have no idea how long I'm going to live, but at least I can live out the rest of my life living my best life, spending time with my children, being the best father and the best husband that a man can be for their family. And that's what I chose to do. And the point to this whole video is that I believe in each and every single one of you. I truly do. I know that all of you all are capable of getting and staying sober. Now, if you've been drinking, you just found this channel, you've been drinking for the last 10 years every single day, and you're thinking about getting sober this week, and you haven't spoken to a doctor, do not do that. Please do not. Speak to a doctor first. I have to say this all the time, but please speak with a doctor. Let them guide you. Let them make this decision for you. Quitting alcohol or benzodiazepines abruptly can be life-threatening. But if you do this safely after you've spoken with a doctor and you get a month in and you fall down, just pick yourself back up again. I know it's easier said than done, but you can do it. I promise you that you can. But one of the most important things, I think, one of the most important things, and I will keep saying this as long as I'm here on this channel, is you have to find something to keep yourself busy. Whatever that is for you. It could be a deck of cards, and all you do is sit down on your couch and play solitaire with yourself on your coffee table after you get off work until you go to sleep every night. If that's what you choose to do, that's amazing. If it's keeping you busy, that's great. That is what we need. We've got to stay busy. We've got to keep our mind, our hands, and our body occupied so that we're not sitting around thinking about our old best friend and how much we miss them. We're missing our old friend, and we want that euphoria back again. And we keep playing that scenario over and over and over again in our head. Eventually, we're going to crack. Man, those bugs were loud tonight. Wow. Those guys are really picking up some noise. As a matter of fact, too, I'll tell you guys this story really fast, and I'm going to get off of here. I know this video is getting kind of long now. I think it was Thursday. It was either Thursday or Friday night. I had walked out on my front porch for a second. I had taken all of my ferns down earlier that afternoon or evening, and I watered them all. I always set them on the porch when I water them. And I let all the water kind of drain through, finish draining out, and just kind of pour through the cracks on the porch before I hang them back up. It was probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night, somewhere around there. It was late, and it was dark outside. I didn't have any lights on or anything. And like I said, I just walked out there to hang the ferns back up. I had hung all the ferns up. I was hanging up the very last fern, and all of a sudden, I started hearing this noise. It sounded just like a monkey, and I mean loud. And for all of you guys, if you can see right behind me right here, those lights right there, that's where the swimming pool is right there. I'm sure you guys have seen my swimming pool. It's just one of those, you know, Walmart special above ground pools, the $300 pools or whatever. But, you know, once again, right over there, that's where the pool is located. Well, right behind that in the woods, so it'd be like over in this little area right here. That's where I heard the noise coming from. So it was like right behind the pool in the woods, I hear this loud screeching monkey sound. It was like, man, I'm not going to try to do that sound. But anyway, I start hearing these monkey like yelps back behind the pool. And that went on for 20 seconds or so. And it was super duper loud. Came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm just out there hanging up my ferns, as quiet as can be. It's late at night. I think probably the only thing I heard were like crickets out here and the frogs chirping. And then all of a sudden, I start hearing that monkey sound behind the pool in the woods. I thought immediately, there is somebody here on my property that's screwing with me. There's some kid or something that's back there making those noises. As soon as those monkey noises stopped, it started making noises like an owl. I took off running in my house. I'm not kidding you, 1,000 miles an hour. I ran in there, started jumping around like a little girl. I told my wife, I said, man, my daughter was down there in the kitchen speaking with my wife too. So I come running in the door, my wife and my daughter are standing right there, and I'm just dancing around the kitchen. There's somebody out there. There's somebody out there. I'm telling you, there's somebody out there. I just heard them. They're right behind the pool. They're back there making monkey noises, and then they went from making monkey noises to trying to sound like an owl. And my wife's like, what? You know, then she starts getting scared. My daughter starts getting scared. We walked out front for a minute, and then we started hearing some other noise from up underneath of our porch. Well, the noise that we were hearing up underneath of our porch, I'm pretty sure was a raccoon. We have a lot of wildlife out here, but I'm pretty sure that the sound underneath the porch was a raccoon. What was going on behind the pool, I had no idea what that noise was. I really did think it was a person here messing with us. I turned on all the lights at night, went outside with this huge flashlight, was shining all around the woods. I even walked down here. I didn't see anything. Well, the next day, my wife comes into the bedroom and she's like, hey, is this the noise that you heard the other night? And she starts playing it. And I went, that's exactly what that noise was. It was that monkey sound and then the owl sound. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, what animal makes monkey noises and owl noises? Like, none. And owls don't make monkey sounds. Well, come to find out, they actually do. And the noise was a barred owl, I think is what it's called. My wife said that all she did was typed in monkey noises or something like that. And the next thing you know, the barred owl comes up. And they do. They make that monkey sound, and then they go, hoo, hoo. They make the owl sound after it. She played that for me. I felt like the biggest idiot. I really thought there was somebody out there in the woods. Come to find out, it was just a barred owl. But anyway. Well, guys, that's all I have for today. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about that today and try to give some words of encouragement. Once again, don't give up. Keep trying. Keep pushing forward. I know it sucks when we relapse. I know we feel like a failure, but you're not a failure. You're really not. None of you are. If you're just watching this video right now, you are doing something. You are taking a step in the right direction. You're trying. You're trying to change your life. You could be watching something else right now. You could be watching reaction videos or TikTok videos as you scroll through, or watching videos about guitars or whatever it is, whatever you're into, but you're not. You're watching this right now. You're watching me talk about alcoholism or AUD and addiction and, you know, ways to try to get sober and the reasons that we do the things that we do. You know, once again, you don't have to be watching this. There's 1,000 other things you could be watching right now, but you're here watching this right now, which means that you want to change your life, or you want to stay where you are. You're moving in the right direction. Don't give up. Keep trying. And like I said a while back, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You know, as you continue to try and try and try, at some point, it's going to stick. And it's going to stick for good. And you're going to be so glad that you never gave up. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate each and every single one of you. This channel would not be what it is without you guys being here and watching the videos and commenting and liking and communicating with each other and supporting each other the way you do. And I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for everything that you guys do for the channel. Because every little thing that you guys do, liking, sharing, subscribing, whatever it is, it pushes these videos out more and more into the algorithm, which means more and more people see these videos, which means more and more people become educated and might turn their lives around and go on living their very best lives. Guys, until tomorrow, I will see you all then. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.